This is to show how to access and work on these locks. So you have to remove this faceplate here, which I've already done. It's just these two little screws. After you've taken those two screws out, you can then get a screwdriver in here. It's a Phillips screwdriver. And by turning this, so when it's turned all the way out, then that means this here is backed out all the way. And that sits in this groove of each side. So that's what holds these pieces in place and keeps them spinning on the front side. So you can see if I turn it all the way in, then that's sticking out on each side, and that's what's engaging into these channels here and keeping this from spinning. So if one of these is spinning, that means that this has probably come loose. So you're going to have to remove these, back it out, spin this into the correct position, and then lock it back in place. The way that these thread in and out of here is with this backed out all the way. You have to rotate the cylinder I don't know how many times, but quite a bit in order to get it to thread out of this here. You can see this moves a little bit, and so depending on if there's enough play in this, you might have to loosen off these a little bit in order to get this to move around enough to let these spin out. When spinning them out, this side it's easiest to use a key in the lock to give you something to help spin it, because these pieces will spin freely around this. And if you have to use pliers on this part, you want to wrap your pliers in electrical tape, and that'll prevent this kind of damage from happening to the lock. Looking at how these actually function, there is this piece on the back here that spins. So on this side, it only spins in one direction, and that's because these locks seem to be designed so that this can only unlock the deadbolt if somebody's locked in the room, but people can't come in and lock the deadbolt behind them and lock themselves into the room. On this side, it's the same thing. Your key rotates this around, and when you're rotating that, what you're doing is it catches onto this, and that's what pushes the lock in and out. So it just moves the lock in and out like that by moving this little lever down here. That's kind of a general overview of how this works, and any problems you might have with it we'll hopefully be able to solve by taking it apart and making any adjustments that are needed.